Wow. Right, unable to join. For those that are on, it is being recorded. So, all right, we're going to wait another minute and get ready to go. All right, good afternoon. I think we're going to wait just another second and we will go with this and get ready to go. All righto, as I mentioned, the name of this is maximizing profit from every seller opportunity. Most important part of this is this next slide, and I have it on its own slide. And this doesn't only relate to this educating the agent masterclass, but in general, this relates to anything you're going to do in business that's different than what you're traditionally used to doing. We traditionally stay within our comfort zone. And if you're in real estate and you work with buyers, you work with sellers, your comfort zone is to work with buyers or to work with sellers. And if you work with sellers, your comfort zone, if you're a traditional real estate agent, is to list the home in the MLS. But here's the thing, there's more out there. And I think it's extremely, extremely important for everybody on here and everybody that's watching and listening to understand that you have to open your mind in whatever you do. Get out of your own thoughts of what you would do in a certain situation and listen to your client. In this case, it's critical to listen, because if you don't listen to your client, you have a great opportunity to end up not being your client. The most important thing you can do is ask questions, understand where your client's at, and meet them where they are. When we talk about maximizing profit from every seller opportunity, this is the benefits. You're going to, again, meet sellers where they're at. But again, you could, if you wanted to, you could replace seller for a buyer, or you could replace it for a different process. But we're going to focus on sellers. But you can, that is interchangeable with other real estate transactions. Meet sellers where they're at. You're going to be more attractive to sellers. You're going to be able to offer them more options. And the more options you're able to offer, the more attractive you are to that seller. When we're selling a home, when we're listing a home, the bigger the buyer pool, most cases, the more money you'll get from. So in this case, the more services you offer, the more money you'll ultimately make. It addresses the uniqueness of every property because every property is different. Every seller is different. So there's no two sellers, no two properties alike. And thus there's no two goals that are identical. And if you focus on the property and the seller versus the situation, you'll win. It allows flexibility in marketing. There's marketing flexibility of max convenience. Don't have to put it on the market through the MLS, take professional photography, videography. But there's also the flexibility of marketing if you want to market it to the highest level possible and go through professional photography, professional videography, so on and so forth. The key is it expands your expertise. When somebody can say, Mark, he helped me with this. Well, that's interesting. He helped me with this, but he helped me with this. You're not a one-trick pony. And so the flexibility that you offer in marketing, the flexibility you offer in expertise, there's nothing like that. It builds trust and referrals. The same thing when I'm able to accommodate this seller in one way and this seller in another, help both of them achieve their goals in completely different ways. It gives me the credibility, the trust of those in the future to refer. Again, market fluctuations. In an incredibly strong market where it's easier to sell homes, maybe you may want max equity. But in a tough market, 2008, where there's 15 months of inventory, those individuals, many of them, they just wanted to sell their home. And if we could offer them a different solution than the max equity solution of putting it on the MLS, waiting 150, 200 days because they had to get to their next location, it allows me to offer them a different solution. And in a different market, I could buy their home. I can sell their home. Some sellers, again, you'll hear it consistently, want max equity, some want max convenience, some want a hybrid. I don't need the top dollar, but I also don't want to give my home away. I want it somewhere in between. If you listen to them and you ask questions, we'll get into questions the next, you will be a successful real estate professional that's able to handle everybody's different opportunity. Those that have been on some of my script and role play know one of the most important scripts to any seller. Out of curiosity, when you do sell, where are you moving? To follow up with, ideally, how soon would you like to be there? Those two determine what your thoughts are, what your plans are, and ideally your motivation. Out of curiosity, when you do sell, where are you moving? Well, I'm staying local. Okay, out of curiosity, what's prompting your move? It's just too much house for us. We want to downsize. We want to get a bigger home. We want to move to a different area. Ideally, how soon would you like to be there? Well, we actually would like to be there within the next 3 weeks, because in 3 weeks, we have school. Right now, we should be registering for schools. So ideally, how soon would you like to be there? And what does the process look like? Get out of judgment, get out of what we want. Ask them, what does the process look like? Are you interested in making it as easy as possible, or do you want to net the most amount of money? Maximize equity ends up being netting the most amount of money. So what is most important to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Is it netting the most amount of money, or is it the max convenience? And when you understand that, again, now you understand where you're going. You understand the roadmap that you're going to create for the seller, and you're going to help them achieve their goals. Not worried about your goals, but when you help them achieve their goals, incredible things happen. So what we've created, and it's very, very important, is marketing aggregation. And we'll get a little bit into the marketing component of this, but everybody out there, everybody on this understands they generate leads, but what the heck do we do with it? The most important thing is, once you've generated a lead, before you even understand how you're going to help them achieve their goals, you have to do something with this lead. So we essentially look at lead aggregation as everything falls into a couple things. It falls into a home search funnel, IDX feeds, and it falls into a home valuation. There's multiple home valuation sites. We happen to use Fellow. There's HomeBot. Whatever process you're going to use, you have to have something to nurture them. You have to aggregate the leads into somewhere and then have a place to nurture them. We happen to have a couple places. We have one CRM for our home search. We use Sierra. Again, many people out there are using completely different CRMs. It's okay. There's an old saying, the best CRM is the one that you actually use. So again, whatever works for you, it's going to be, as long as you apply and you're efficient and effective with it, it's going to work perfect for this process. Secondly, home valuation. Again, going back to, we use a home valuation called Fellow, but there's HomeBot and there's numerous others. Again, it's continuing to add value. Zillow was built on the home valuation. Find the Z estimate. Find out how much your home was worth. Z estimate put Zillow on the map because there was this clever new thing that would give them an idea of the value of their home. And so with that being said, home search, home valuation. And then what we do is we nurture them. And then we have this third component, email marketing. And I don't care how, if you have 5 people in your database or you have 2,000, 20,000, you then have to add value to the process. Within the ecosystem of this CRMs, we add value. Then there's this whole external email marketing. And the email marketing component is educating and adding value to the people that are in your database. You have to do that. It's part of the nurture. So again, this is how we've aggregated them. All of our marketing, search all homes in the MLS, that's catering to buyers. Get a cash offer on your home in 24 hours, catering to sellers. How much is your home worth? Catering to sellers. And then obviously just visit the overall website. So when you look at what we've done, here's some of our strategies we've actually done and the reason we do what we do. This one, get a home instant home or condo valuation. Back of business cards, get home value or cash offer. Signatures, get an instant home valuation or cash offer. What we're already doing is we're putting little bugs, nuggets in their ear to know that we offer options. Instant offer, home valuation. How much is your home or condo worth? How much is this is a door knocking piece? Get an instant home or condo valuation. So we've used all these strategies. Here's the problem. People spend thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing, but they have absolutely no call to action. They have no place to actually identify, are people looking at my product or my service? It's very easy to put out a beautiful brand, to put out a beautiful ad, but unless somebody calls and said, I specifically saw your ad, then you're never going to know. This, it allows us to identify when an agent door knocks, we're able to see home valuations come through. I don't even have to tell you when an ad is run in our organization, because I know that when we run an ad, we will have results of home valuations. So anything, and I don't care at what level you're at, if you are marketing, you have to have some call to action and an action to actually understand who's looking at your product and how they're looking at it. Marketing billboards, your home sold guaranteed. Get a cash offer, 24 hours. How much is your home or condo worth? And you'll notice we actually have an agent on here. Part of the reward of certain performance on our team is you get on a billboard. And we have agents that have goals of being on billboards. We have agents that drive by their billboards and post it in social media. Here's the beauty of it. When we allow them to be on these billboards, and by the way, it happens to be the Gellman team ultimately. At the end of the day, it's a brand. The Gellman team, no different than Dell Computer, which was Michael Dell, Ford Motor Company, which was Henry Ford. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really relate to the Gellman team. Sure, my picture's on there, but it's about the agents. It's about the organization. And so when you create an organization that can support a team, that can support agents, and then you put them front and center, you put them on billboards. Every month, at least 2 to 3 agents are on billboards. So, but again, we aggregate these leads into our original aggregation site. Leveraging one listing to get 3 transactions. Technically, and this number could change a little bit, but technically, every listing should create 3+ transactions. And how does it create 3+ transactions? Well, it creates it from sign calls, it creates it from internet, it creates it from open houses and other. Now, again, this is an overall general rule. But I can tell you that if it's done right, it's going to generate 4, 5, 6, because you're going to market after the fact. You're going to call everybody after you sold 1, 2, 3 Main Street. You're going to call everybody on Main Street and tell them about how great you did on 1, 2, 3 Main Street. Here's the thing. Most traditional agents, and by the way, ultimately, we run a traditional real estate team. However, we have these options. Most traditional agents that are going to be on this, that are going to be watching this, you either don't have the appetite to do this, you don't understand it, or you're just scared to jump in. I did a master class on this yesterday with about 250 people. And some of the questions were, how do we get started? We're scared to do the first one. So I get it. I get that it's not easy. But the point is that getting into this, your first deal, it will be a complete game changer. Traditional agents don't like wholesale, and certainly investors don't like traditional listings. Most of the investors we work with, they only do turnkey investments and they buy property. And if a seller wants maximum, they don't like their price, they lose that opportunity. And they don't necessarily lose it meaning they wanted it and they lost it. They actually walk away from it. So what we've been able to do is fill a need. We've been able to fill a need that traditional agents don't want wholesale dealer and investors don't like traditional. We'll take them all, because the better the opportunity, the more options you have, the better opportunity you get paid. As I talked about, slide 1, and I can go back to it, or slide 2. Change your mindset, get out of your thoughts and focus on your client wants and needs. When you do that, you're going to open up opportunities. So going back to offering options, I never know before, when somebody calls me within the first couple seconds or selling, I don't know what they want. I ask the scripts, the dialogues, and then I understand what option may be best for them. HomeSoldSolutions.com. That is a website that goes directly to our website on the Gellman team that offers 3 options. And it offers, again, the traditional home sale, the guaranteed sold, and the TG offers, which has been branded as Rocket Listing, but it's also TG offers. But here's the thing. We've taken a splash page, Home Sold Solutions, and created a marketing piece that allows them then to go a step further and inquire about traditional home sale, guaranteed sold, or TGT offers the instant offer. We have a comparison, STL Rocket Listing versus traditional. And you can see, and it may not be big enough on your screen, but a Rocket Listing, there's no repairs. Traditional, you may have to do home repairs. This market may not require it as much because of the as-is component, the current condition. By the way, just, and you'll see in a later slide, lose the word as-is and go to current condition. It's a lot more positive for the exact same thing. If it's as-is, it's a current condition. Current condition can be received to the market much better. As is, there's something wrong. You're buying it in. No, you're just buying it in the current condition that we're not going to do anything. So when we talk about no repairs needed, current condition, home repairs. Rocket Listing instant offer, no showings, and then there's inconvenient showings. Every day on traditional sale, we have people leaving their home, taking 2 dogs, kids, whatever it is, to move out of the home for an hour, 2 hours, and then they can come back. There's no open houses. There's open houses. Again, this is a great to put a bug in people's ear. So they may think they want max equity until you start going through. By the way, I want to make sure you're going to have numerous showings. You're going to have offers. Some may work, some may not. You may have current condition. They may ask for fixes or maybe financing, no financing, commissions, no commissions, right? What works best for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And when you get out of judgment into curiosity, you may realize, yeah, it's lower, but there's an opportunity cost. So everybody that's watching and everybody in this room, there's an opportunity cost of your time, your energy, and your money. And not one is more important than the other for any one person. Again, some people value time more than money. Some value money more than time. I don't care what it is. I have to listen and understand to the client what's most important to them. Traditional. And again, for those that have been on my role play and other, you'll understand when we talk about a traditional sale. Proven process. My elevator pitch is we have a proven process we've used to sell over 4,200 homes with a 5-star, over 1,300 5-star Google and Zillow reviews with a 5-star rating. It's a proven process. If you do not have a proven process that you can articulate, you have to find. And there's numerous ways that you can find one. You can brainstorm and think about what value on a high level. But by the way, you didn't hear me say it's a proven process we've used to net sellers the most amount of money for the least amount of time, except no, it's a proven process we've used to sell over 4,200, 4,500 homes with 5-star Google and Zillow rating. By the way, we get a 5-stars Google ratings from people that we've done an instant offer with, that have sold their house at below market, but they're happy as can be. And so again, everybody on here, and don't pigeonhole yourself. Traditional sale, max equity. Sell in the current condition, potentially in this market, it's happening more and more, although there are negotiations for inspections. But traditionally, a traditional sale will be max equity, potentially sell in current condition, or prepare the home for sale. Even within the traditional sale where it goes on the MLS, there's options. Do you want to prepare the home for sale? Do you want to stage it? Do you want to paint it? Do you want to put carpet in? Right? That'd be a traditional sale that gives you the highest amount. So you have to determine what works best for them, even under the traditional sale. What is the best option that they have? Do they want to do work or no work? Do they want to put it on the market or not in current condition? So the traditional sale, again, going back to great majority of the agents in the United States or in the world are traditional real estate agents that have their license, that hold it with the brokerage. The great majority, and probably, and I'm just throwing it out there, it's probably less than 5% offer options. And when you offer options, your seller pool's bigger and your money is increased. So we focused on traditional. Instant offer, buy and hold. Numerous ways to handle an instant offer. So we bought homes where we've held them. We've bought homes where we flipped them. We've bought homes where we cross wholesale them. Again, open your mind. Traditional. There's the max equity, max work to get your home on the market. And there's the let's get it on the market and shoot for the highest amount, but you may not get it. In the instant offer, numerous options. Couple of opportunities that I want to highlight. Buy and hold opportunities. I'm a big believer, for me personally, what works best for me is to buy multifamily. If I have a piece of property, I'd rather multiple tenants be on that piece of property than just one. So I'm not a big, although I do own some single family, I'm not a huge single family buyer. I'm more so buying a multifamily. So if you look, this property right here, I own it with one of the agents on the team. That's a 4-family. This is an 8-family. I own it with 2 agents on the team. Partner with agents to own property. It's a beautiful thing when you can help your agents. If you're a team leader on here, you can help your agents achieve their goals, right? I'm helping sellers achieve their goals. I'm helping agents on our team. There's an old saying, and so I partner with them, and I'm adding value. I'm pouring in my agents. Look, at the end of the day, other firms talk to our agents and recruit, and we get it. Okay. When I stop adding value is when they have the opportunity to go somewhere and feel okay. But when you do these type of things, when you get them on billboards, when you partner with them on properties, when you do fix and flips, which we'll get into, look, that's our value proposition. So you may say, well, you train people so great and you like partner with them and you pour into your agents Well, what happens if they leave? The old saying is, well, what happens if they stay? And you haven't given them opportunities. You haven't trained them properly. You haven't given them opportunities to own properties and other. So my mentality as a team leader is to pour into our team, pour into our agents, and give people opportunities. This is beautiful. And by the way, this 4-family here, led to that same agent buying a 2-family on his own with a partner, unrelated to me. This 8-family. So you're talking about this agent now owns this 4-family, owns another 2-family, part of this 8-family. It's a beautiful thing when you can provide opportunities. So I'm providing opportunities to sellers and I'm providing opportunities to the team. Here's a couple examples of, again, teach agents to build wealth and have additional income opportunities. Going back to this, these were some of the buy and hold that we've worked on. This, fix and flip. This is when you buy the property, you fix it, renovate it, and you flip it for a profit. Again, teach agents to build wealth, have additional income opportunities, and they'll stay. And if they don't stay, then you either haven't provided enough value or they think there's a better opportunity. But the point is, all of these, I've partnered with an agent on my team. None of these were bought without partnering with an agent. And you may say, well, what if the agent doesn't have money to partner with you? It's okay. I've done that numerous times with agents where they general contracted. They didn't swing a hammer, but they general contracted. They found the property, it was off market. They general contracted it, they managed it, and they had either the upside or the downside. Every one of my partners has to have a downside and an upside. I don't believe in just having an upside with a partner because then it becomes irresponsible. If a partner of mine is guaranteed $5,000, $10,000, there's no accountability. So we share in the upside, we share in the downside. Here's just an example of a property that we bought. Again, I had partners. Bought 370,000. We sold it for 470,000. Nice round numbers. We put into the home, and so we were completely into this $370,000 home for $407,482. So essentially $37,482. There was a profit of $62,000, and that $62,000 was distributed to myself and partners. That's a beautiful thing because that's a lot of homes that you'd have to sell traditionally to make this type of money. Plus, this is teaching people how to fish versus just giving them fish. And so I love this opportunity. I love the opportunity to own. I love the opportunity to renovate and to build opportunities for your agents. There's also this cross wholesale. Well, what happens if I get the opportunity to buy a property, but I can't buy a property? I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. Well, here's what we've done on this MLS ranking report. By the way, I'm very proud of the fact that if you notice, Gellman team is #1 right here, over $573 million of property between January 21 and like yesterday. And so it's a big number. We've sold over 1,300 homes. You divide that by, it's a proven process just in that year and a half or 2.5 years that we've sold over 1,300 homes. But here's the thing, everybody highlight. This is a ranking report on the buy side only. And then you have the list in the buy side. But if they're heavy buy side, so these are all over 200 buy sides with less than 20 list sites. It tells you that they represent investors. It tells you they represent hedge funds. So what we do is we work with an instant offer. We present an instant offer to a prospective seller, and then we're able to shop it to funds. And so this has been very successful, and we make a referral fee. Again, look, I've given you 3 options, and there's even another option, but I've given you 3 options right now just within the instant offer world. Buy and hold, fix and flip, don't touch it, cross wholesale it, get a referral fee. So there's options here. And so these were 5 different agents that heavily sell to funds. And I looked them up just to validate. I looked up their 100, 200 deals, and I could see that it was SFR, which is single family residential, and it would be the tax record showed a fund owning those. And so I can see they do work with funds. But again, this is just a little nugget that there's opportunities. And then there's a 4th one. I think that I somehow created a sheet, and I don't know, created a sheet. Instant offer, build investor relationships. Google real estate investors, attend real estate meetups. I know that we have people on our team that are engaged in some of these different processes. And so there's opportunities to build investor relationships and then sell them off, sell the properties to those investors. Couple things. And again, I'm going back to yesterday, and at the end of this, I'll answer a lot of the questions that were asked yesterday. And I'll answer those just from my experience of knowing some of the questions. So on this, I'm building investor relationships. A question asked yesterday was, well, are you focused on like all the investors in the market, even the ones that only sell 1, 2, 3, 5? And I said, no. I've gone very deep with 6 to 7 investors instead of wide with 1,000. There's 2 options. A lot of people have built investor lists of 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people. They potentially have an opportunity, a seller over here that wants to sell. They want an instant offer. And then they go put it in this portal and send it out to 2,000 investors. Here's the problem I have. You don't know the 2,000 investors. You don't know who's going to close, who has the capability to close. And then all of a sudden your name associated with this seller who is counting on you to get their deal done for instant equity, for max convenience. Now it's inconvenient. And this day you start inconveniencing somebody is the day that your trust and referrals, they're going to go down, because ultimately your trust and referrals you can never replace. People will trust you until they don't. And the minute you send their property out to 2,000 investors that you have no idea, you present those offers to those investors, you have no idea who it is, and then you don't know if they're going to show up for closing. Building trust and referrals is incredibly important. And by the way, if you don't get referrals, if in your normal business you don't get referrals, it's probably an issue with they don't trust you with their referrals. I don't refer people unless I completely trust them, because of the fact that nobody remembers who I refer, the name. So if somebody asks me for a roofing company and the roofing company makes a big mistake, they're not going to remember the roofing company that made the mistake. You know who they're going to remember? Mark Gellman, who gave me the roofing company. They're going to remember me, not the roofing company's name. So when you go back to trust and referrals, I've taken an approach to make sure that I go deep, not wide. I'm not suggesting that going wide is a bad idea, because numerous people have been very successful with this, but it's just not my strategy. I want to know the 6, 7 investors that are going to show up, and I know that they close. If I'm going to build an investor list from scratch, I'm going to find investor meetups. I'm going to find real estate investors. I'm going to meet with them at my office. I want to understand their processes, and I want to articulate my process to them that I expect you to close. By the way, I stand behind every investor. If they don't close, I close. So I need to make sure that I have a good relationship with those individuals and they know how serious I am. So again, these networking, it's a great place to go. With that being said, I know we still have some time. I don't know if in chat we're going to get any questions. I also, in the room that I'm in, you guys can ask questions, but I can tell you right now that the biggest fear that most people have is just jumping in. And look, it's okay. Work with somebody that is and partner. It's okay. Partner with a local investor if you're in a different market that you're scared to jump into it. Reach out to us. At least talk to us. I'll walk you through it. But the point is if you never jump into it, you'll never have the opportunity to do this. I have complete comfort doing this over and over again because of the fact that I've done it. Now, again, going back to yesterday, one question was, well, do you have this all documented? Do you have like forms of like how much you're going to pay for this and how much? I don't. And here's the reason. When you start having forms, that means one size fits all. And when you have a one size fits all, you miss out on opportunities because everybody's different. Every area is different. Every price point is different. And so with that being said, I believe that I have to build relationships with the prospective seller. I have to ask them questions about their goals and then figure out how I can help them. So I don't believe in having a one size fits all piece of paper, even the guaranteed sale. The guaranteed sale is that we agree upon a price and a time that you're going to sell the home to me. If it doesn't sell on the open market, I have some criteria, but very little criteria, because we put it in the listing contract exactly what works best for both of us. I want to be very clear though. I am in the for-profit business to make money on these. I don't need to be greedy, especially when one of my agents can benefit. If I buy the home and one of my agents then can sell them a home, represent them on the buy side of a non-contingent, I want to make less margin on that than I would if I'm doing it for myself with no other buy or anything. So everybody is different. But at the end of the day, my responsibility goes back to adding value to our team, adding value to the agent experience. And if I can then buy a home for on behalf of one of my agents that then can sell them a home, it's amazing, because there's not a lot of teams out there that are doing this. In the St. Louis market, there's extremely few. Let's go to this question. How do you profit from referring a seller to an investor? Great question. How you profit is you set up a referral fee. And and I don't know how it is where you're at in what city, but you have to set the referral fee up front. And so, well, let me actually, there's two ways. So how do you profit from, okay, to an investor, because also to a fund. So how I profit is possibly two ways. Number one, I can charge the seller a fee, and I can charge that investor buyer a fee. But the most important thing you're going to have to establish now is you want to make sure that you've established it up front. So imagine you have a $300,000 home you're going to wholesale, and you're going to charge $5,000, $10,000 fee to an investor. And so the seller's going to net $300,000 because the buyer is going to pay $290,000 and then give us $10,000. So they're going to pay $300,000. They're going to give us $10,000. So actually, I apologize, it's $310,000 in that case. If that investor after the fact wants to pay $350,000, I can't take that additional money. It's called a net listing. Net listings in the state of Missouri are not legal, meaning you have to set the commission up front. It can't be a flexible. I can't in the MLS represent a seller. This would be even on a traditional. And if you get over 300,000, I get all the extra money as commission. You have to establish all the guidelines up front. That's why they put in the MLS 2%, 3%, 5% commission. It has to be disclosed up front. So how I profit from an investor, we do it all the time, probably 1 to 2 a week. We have one, for example, that closes today. One of my agents on the team, she's been with us 9 years. She's a listing agent. It's her SOI. They wanted max convenience. She charged investors $8,500. We will get an $8,500 check today. And the effort looks a lot different than a traditional listing, managing showings, managing contracts as is, current condition, asking for inspections. So it's a totally different. I love selling, wholesaling off to investors, where I'm able then to charge a referral fee, discretionary referral fee. By the way, in the car business, for example, at a car auction, the buyers pay the fees. So it's okay for an investor. You're essentially a lead gen company that happens to be selling to them. Any investor in America, if they can make money, will pay you a referral fee, a big referral. And by the way, if there's enough cushion in there, they'll pay you 10, 12, 15,000. All I do is let them know, here's a referral fee, make your offer accordingly based on that referral fee. How do you prevent them from going? Oh, it's a great question. See, how do you prevent them going straight to the seller? Two things. Number one, and it's been blessed by our brokerage, we have an exclusive right to shop this. So we have it's a 3-page that we have. It's not a listing agreement. It doesn't have a fiduciary duty that we're going to represent them to the highest level, but it's an exclusive right to solicit their property. So we tie it up. We shop it. And by the way, most every time we then put the investor and the seller together, we introduce them, the seller and the investor writes the contract with the seller, and we're out of the deal. So it actually, I want to introduce, I want the investor. Plus, the 6-7 investors, I told you that I have great relationships. I'm sure you understand. They can absolutely go to my seller the first time, but they'll never do business with me again. And it's not to be a pain, it's just that's how I do business. So as long as you set the expectations up front, so it's a mutual respect. The diamond business, you may or may not know, is a handshake. They don't have contracts. It's all based on handshakes. Well, my relationships with investors are built on handshakes. They know not to screw us over because they understand we have a better pipeline than just that one deal. Again, and it's a whole different topic, but abundance versus scarcity. Scarcity would tell you that investor is going to go right to my client, and abundance is that I'm going to continue to generate leads and leads and leads. And by the way, if there's people in this that are in from St. Louis, I'll give you the investor opportunities. The beauty of it is I'll introduce you to those investors. Now they have more pipeline. So the beauty of it is there's great opportunities to build relationships. This is a I win, they win. When we look at it that I win and they lose, or that doesn't work. All of these, every one of these deals here, every one of these is a I win, they win. And when I win, they win, you continue to build relationships. When it's disproportionate, people leave. Can you share an example of the form you use? Yes, I'm happy to. If you offline, I'll actually you can email me, Mark at the Gellman team. Now, again, it's been blessed by my brokerage, but I want to make you'd have to bless it. If you shoot me an email to Mark at the Gellman team, I'm happy to send it. It's an exclusive right to solicit. Exclusive right to solicit offers. It ties them up. And then what we decide to do once we've done that exclusive right to solicit is then we decide, do we want it as a full listing, or do we want it to go into this whole investor ecosystem where I buy it or where we cross wholesale? The objective is to figure out how to get paid. Thank you. You're welcome. Awesome. Who else has questions? Yep. Yep. Yeah, so it's a great question. Somebody asked if across wholesale is a I close and then they close. That is not. That's really a simultaneous close, and a simultaneous close I don't do that much. It's where I actually physically close on that property, and literally the same, 5 minutes later, I actually have it sold. I don't do that much because traditionally when I take ownership of a property, I do one of two things. Well, three. I'll either hold it and not sell it, but ignore that if I'm going to sell it. Traditionally, I'll do one of two things if I'm going to sell it. I'm going to gut renovate the property, or I don't love the wording, but just stick with me, put lipstick on a pig, and then resell it. Very rarely will I take this property and simply close and then reclose immediately without doing anything. It's just not what I do, but it works all the time. I don't like then having to facilitate having it already sold and making sure that they close and everything. I just like closing on them and then deciding what I do. So it's a great question. So that would be more of a simultaneous close. The cross wholesale is where I actually don't even take ownership. I actually get it under contract and have it ready sold, or I use the exclusive right to solicit and I actually solicit it while it's out there, almost like a traditional listing, but it doesn't hit the whole MLS. It just hits a few investors, and then I cross wholesale. I have it here, control it, goes over here, and then they work in most cases directly with the seller. But great question. Who else has questions?
Say agent wholesaler doesn't have that. Agent who is running essentially wholesale does have.
Yeah, so again, another great question, and that really gets into it's going to get into the legalities of licensing. So what are there specific rules that a non-licensed agent will have versus a licensed agent regarding farming and other? Here's the thing. a lot of investors are not licensed. And the reason that a lot of investors are not licensed is they don't want the stringent of it. In our case, MREC, Missouri Real Estate Commission, and they don't want to be under that. So here's the thing. I don't know all the details of it, but for the most part, in my case, I'm following all the rules that I need to be extremely successful. I'm not doing anything that's going to be pushing the envelope. I guess what would happen is, in my opinion, is some of the things that would push the envelope would be, for example, non-licensed, getting into some disclosure issues that maybe I would disclose where appropriate, just because I don't want to have recourse and in trouble. I'm not suggesting that those type of things, but you have to be careful of people that aren't governed by any type of body. So most investors, a lot that I think everyone we work with, just to let you know, is licensed because they're in the business and then they want to resell or other. That great majority of investors are not licensed, but that really has a lot to do with the licensing law in your own city. Let's see. How do you make your first investment? Did you pay cash, need to buy? Yeah, I mean, my first investment was outside of this ecosystem. It was just I bought a property, and I bought a property in a not great area, but I wanted to cut my teeth. It was cheap. So not great areas, you're going to pay less. And when you pay less, there's cash on cash opportunities to make more money. But in those not great areas, in many cases, it's a heavier lift of when somebody moves out. You have to fix the property in many cases more. Some of the credit issues allow you to have to really be more selective on tenants, and it's hard. But my first was in a very subpar area that I got good cash on cash return once I stabilized it, but I ultimately, it was just too heavy lifting. So I ended up selling it. But with that being said, there is definitely financing options available, although, as I talked about yesterday, one of the challenges you have in today's market is, and the lender today that we were speaking with said that the Fed may be raising interest rates another 0.25%. When you're looking at deals right now, not to fix and flip, but more so to hold, deals are harder to come by right now than cash flow. The most important way that a property is going to cash flow is if you put down more money. And if you put down more money, that means your loan's going to be less and your expenses are going to be less. So that's really in today's market how it's not the easiest time right now unless you can buy them incredibly well or put down a lot of money. A lot of these deals don't work, hold them. But to fix and flip, beautiful. In our market, the market is so strong right now that what happens is I buy a home that needs updating. I gut renovate or I renovate, put lipstick on a pig, and then I'm able to put it on the market and sell it. There is some lead time of financing that requires hold time, but I recommend everybody building relationships. Again, what we do in this business, what we do in the real world, out in the business world, you're building relationships in this business with investors. You're building relationships with banks, with lenders. Get ready to eventually do this. So start meeting with bankers, understand what their appetite is, and then find somebody in your market that you feel comfortable partnering with. I would partner with almost any great agent in our market that wanted to bring me an opportunity. If they said, look, I really want to be your partner, I don't just want to get a referral fee, but I actually want to go through this process with you, I would actually welcome that opportunity. So I do believe, regardless of what market you're in, I do believe there'd be opportunities for you to find an agent, and especially like in your, I don't know if you're in a brokerage, a team, whatever that looks like, but there's going to be opportunities. You just have to build relationships with people. Can you share, people have asked me, it's funny about these books. People have asked me, and I will post, this is through the Agent Nation, I'll post about 3 books. The problem is, or not even problem, the most, in my opinion, in this, people want books in that, but here's the most important book, and it is, I think, and it's hard, is accounting. And I know they're boring and I know all that. at learning financial statements, learning how to analyze a deal. I believe, look, there's a lot of people that have different strategies. Burr is a very popular book that I don't like. And then you refinance, and then you buy the next one, and then you refinance. In an upward moving market, prices are going up, but your equity is going down. And if you're going to hold these, and in an upward moving market where you went from 3% interest rates to 7.5, there's a lot of people that are going to be buying their Burr properties over the next year, year and a half, because they have no equity. They're going to refinance, and then they're in trouble. So I believe in accounting. Finance, it removes all, and I'll get into it real quick. It removes all emotion. So when I buy a property to fix and flip, conservative retail, what is that conservative retail that on any day of the week it's going to sell about this price? By the way, if it sells over, awesome, don't banker it. What's a conservative fix on every day based on the supply chain, everything? How much is that fix? And so imagine you conservative retail is 400,000. The conservative fix is 200,000. So you have 200,000 remaining. And then of that 200,000, how much profit do you want to make? And if you want to make 50,000, 100, and whatever that is, and we can talk a little bit about criteria, but imagine you wanted to make 50,000. You cannot pay more than $150,000. And what happens is, but if the seller wants 165, well, that's 15,000. It's only 15,000 more. And I probably could sell it for 15,000 more. Or I probably could fix it for 15,000 less. The problem is you're losing the conservatism. And when you start doing that, that's where you get in trouble. Then at the end, you're cutting corners. That at the end, which is the last 10%, is so critical, so important. And then you're cutting corners. And then the home doesn't sell, not only at the conservative, it doesn't sell less than the conservative because you cut corners and it's actually not worth what you were going to do. So you have to be extremely disciplined. Somebody again asked yesterday about, well, what do the numbers look like? This is an old rule of thumb for the fix and flip that most people were applying, for example, last year and the year before. The retail in that case was 400,000. So the retail was 400,000. 80% of that's 320,000. So an 80% of the retail. And say the fix then was the 200,000, and they're going to make more profit here. But again, 80% of the 400,000 is 320,000 minus a fix of 200. That means they can't actually pay more than $120,000. And so in that case, you just have to look at the numbers. I don't want you to sacrifice numbers, and I don't want you to think you're going to sell it for more, fix it for less, but you ultimately want to get deals, and you have to figure out what works best for your finances and for your business model. Now, another good question was asked yesterday that said, well, how do you go into these listings and not like piss off the person? So they originally want to do this traditional offer max equity and say that a house sells for 400,000, but you'll buy it at like 250 or 300. So say 400,000 on the market, 300,000 we'll pay in this case because it's only a $20,000 fix and we can make money. Here's a nugget that we learned, and we learned it from experience of upsetting some sellers that didn't want to then, they thought they wanted traditional, then they thought they wanted instant offer. They wanted to go back to traditional, but they didn't trust us. They didn't trust our numbers. So imagine that 400,000 and we want to buy it for 350, 300. Let's just say 300. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, look, and they say, we want to know what your price is going to be. Here's the thing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I don't have the exact numbers yet, but I do think it's going to be south of about 375. See, south. So I didn't tell them 300. 300 is south of 375. And you look at them, and again, this is very intuitive. Not only do you have to listen to them, but you have to watch them. You have to watch their body language. When you see them get pissed at you, you better stop. If you see them excited, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I understand. That's about it. Okay, well, but we really need a better. I mean, we really need to know, like you said, south of 3. just crunching the numbers, I think we'll probably. I'm gonna have to look at it, but I think this is gonna be south of 350. And you're like, okay, they're either gonna be happy or sad or pissed. And that's the game. It's a game. It's a communication game. And so when I understand where they're at and I know how far I can go, then I've won. And so in that case, I just want to make sure that little nugget saved numerous max equity deals that I would have lost because they thought they wanted max convenience. The max convenience was too low, but I still believed in their house and I turned them to max
I mean,
equity.
okay, well, that's got it. Man, I think we're gonna be selling at 310. I mean, this.
Sure. The question is, how often can you go back to the south? You know what? You're not, they're pushing you. See, they're asking me. I'm just telling you, if they were, some of them stop at, okay, south of 37, yeah, that makes sense. And then they don't even ask. And then I'll go back, crunch numbers and give them a number because I already felt them out. But if they're like, no, I want a number on the spot, great, it's gonna be, and then I just keep going. Don't matter. Again, if you think that they're gonna be pissed, they'll be pissed. If you think that you're going the right way, you think they're going the right way. So that's been very, very successful for me. Let me just see, bear with me. Somebody, so when I represent an investor on the flip, most of them are licensed investors, but so somebody asked if you represent an investor, do you then expect to get the resale? I don't, but I can tell you to builders, a lot of cases, if builders building it for spec, it's a very, very fair expectation to sell a builder a lot and then get that listing back. Because a lot of builders are so desperate to find properties that is absolutely a fair expectation to get the listing back. Investors know, because an investor may keep it, investor may flip it. It just no. Then most of them, as I mentioned, would be are licensed, so they already have the ability, but we have had a couple of our licensed investors throw us a bone. I think we've probably from one investor listed 2 or 3. He's smart because he wants to keep us in good graces because he knows we're a lead gen for him. And so, for example, in that case, he did give us a few listings. Who else has any questions? Anybody? Cool. Well, I think I'm on time and let's see what I got. Great, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate your interaction. If nobody else has any questions, we can wrap this up. What about you, boss?
Good.
Awesome. Hopefully this was valuable.
You can say stop recording.
Here.
I'll just.
Participate. What do I do? I'm gonna stop recording, stop share.
Share.
Okay, what do I want to do?
Stop.